Was there ever a time when you were doing like the drink and the drugs and on the sessions that you felt you was gonna die?
Yeah, oh mate, well, I've tried to commit suicide at one point, so I slashed my throat and I clipped an artery, and I was close there. But I've overdosed loads of times, like loads of times, and you can't even technically overdose on coke. But I woke up in the morning with fucking stickers of ECG on the back of my head and not even remember going to hospital. Um, in and out of hospital all the time. The worst time was when I had a fight twice in a row. So I had a fight in a pub with and actually got the shit kicked out of me for the first time in my local area in a long time. I had a good reputation before that, but like got the shit kicked out of me by this bloke. And then got up. Apparently they saw it on the camera. Me sort of got up and then went to this other guy's house, knocked on the front door, and he was a professional boxer or a semi-professional. I think we probably called him a professional boxer. Probably wasn't actually at the time. And he punched me and broke my jaw in two places. And my jaw was literally out here. Went back, ordered another 2 grams of coke, started getting back on it. And I started to speak like this. And everyone was like, Lewis, mate, you got to go to hospital. Your fucking jaw's hanging off. And then I they put a plate in my jaw, fixed it all up, and then 2 days later, my chest started to swell up and my voice changed. And this was on another session. I was straight back on it, and I was like, "Why am I sounding so weird?" And my chest was swelling, and then I was sick, and then I can't remember what happened exactly, but I knew something was seriously wrong. So they called an ambulance, and what I had was surgical emphysema, which was, and they still to this day don't know how it happened, whether it was me being sick so much from just doing too much drugs and alcohol, because I used to like vomit violently sometimes, and burst my gullet. That was one of the things they thought could have happened. The other thing that happened was it was like a later complication of the jaw broken, or the main reason they think it was when they put the tube down my throat to fix my jaw, they nipped my gullet and it opened up air. But what happened was what it was doing was it was putting air around my lungs and my heart. And they said if that continues to expand, it will put more and more pressure on your heart and your lungs until you die. So they said, like, in no uncertain terms, you're in real trouble. They said we've got to do an operation. We're going to have to put a tube in your neck, a tube in your bowel, a tube in your stomach, basically, so that your gullet can heal. Otherwise, if it gets infected, you're a goner. And they said you've got around. I said, like, give me my chances. Like, what are my chances of survival? They said you got about a 30% chance of survival from the operation. And they said call your family, let them know. Basically saying let them know you might not come out of this operation. But what was strange though is when I was lying down on the table, they said to me, "You don't care, do you?" They said your heart rate is completely normal, completely stable, and I just didn't give a fuck, didn't care. And then I woke up and I had doctors all around me, and this sounds like fairy tales, which is why my story's in the papers because I've got some good stories. They're all fucking real. Sometimes I think I'm making it up, but I had the doctors all around me, and they said you had us all amazed. They said we put the camera down your throat to do the operation, and it had closed and healed itself. Like it was basically like a little nick that was letting air in, and that air would have killed me eventually. But the gullet closed, and all I now needed was just 2 weeks in on an intravenous drip for to make sure I don't get an infection, and I was a free man. But I said to myself during that time, if I get out of this alive, Mum, wish my mum come down. So if I get out of this alive, I'm going to go travel the world, and that was what sent me off to Iron Appa and Magaluf. I think I took traveling the world a little bit in the wrong direction, but yeah, that was the closest I ever got. And then later when I spoke to the consultant, he said, you were very lucky. So I didn't want to say it at the time, but he said it wasn't 30, it was 50-50 that you was going to make it in that operation. Oh. So thank fuck I didn't have that operation because they said that if I had that operation, which was a good outcome, I'd have been in intensive care for 6 months because of all the fucking tubes in my bowel and tubes. So yeah, some crazy war stories, but I don't really tell them because I'm not because now I'm sort of, I don't know, I'm just feeding into it. I don't often, because I can tell it's weird. You pull out a different energy in me. I can sense your energy. It's pulling me in. I don't really talk about this sort of stuff though, because I'm not. I used to be proud of it, I used to, you know that geezer. Oh yeah, I fucking knocked him out, and then the other geezer, yeah. That's not me anymore. Like I am embarrassed by those things I used to do, and I don't like telling war stories. I'm not the sort of guy that's down the pub going, "Oh yeah, back in my day, this one time." So I'm giving it to you as a special treat, but this isn't what I usually talk about on podcasts.